So today, we're going to explore the hidden architecture of low emotional intelligence. But we're not going to do it with a bunch of complex theories. Instead, we're going to look at 5 surprisingly common everyday habits. And hey, this isn't about pointing fingers. It's about understanding the patterns that might be quietly holding us, or the people around us, back. Have you ever been there? You're in a conversation and suddenly it just goes completely off the rails, and you have no idea why. It's like you're playing a game, but you kind of miss the day they explain the rules. Well, that missing piece of the puzzle, so often it comes down to emotional intelligence. So before we jump into those 5 big habits, let's just take a second to make sure we're all on the same page. What exactly is emotional intelligence anyway? Okay, first things first. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, isn't just about being nice, not at all. It's a really powerful skill set. It's about being able to recognize your own feelings as they're happening, understand what they're trying to tell you, and then use that knowledge to guide how you think and act. And, the difference is pretty stark. Someone with high EQ, they're self-aware, they can genuinely try to see things from another person's perspective, and they can manage their impulses. Compare that to low EQ, which often looks like someone who's just kind of oblivious to their own impact, absorbed in their own world, and just reacting to everything on autopilot. All right, with that foundation in place, let's dive into the 5 habits that are often the hallmarks of low emotional intelligence. And remember, just recognizing these patterns is a huge, huge first step. Okay, first up, constantly playing the victim. This is that tendency to believe that bad things just happen to you, like you're some kind of passive target of the universe. It's a worldview where your own role in what's going on just seems to completely disappear. If you ever hear someone say, or catch yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" Well, that's a major clue. This mindset does more than just dodge responsibility. It is absolutely exhausting for the people around you. And here's the bottom line. If you can't see your part in a problem, you can never ever learn or grow from it. And this one leads us right into our second habit, which is being highly defensive. This is that inability to accept feedback, no matter how constructive it is or how gently you say it. To them, every little suggestion feels like a full-blown personal attack. You know that classic line, "I was just joking, you're too sensitive." When someone says that, they're not just deflecting. They're basically telling you your feelings are wrong. This habit builds a giant wall against any kind of self-improvement. Because really, if you can't hear feedback, how are you ever going to learn about your own blind spots? And if you can't accept feedback, it's a very short trip to our third habit, which is blaming others. This one is a very close cousin of playing the victim. When something goes wrong, the absolute first instinct is to find someone or something else to pin it on. It is always someone else's fault. Just think about this in a team setting. If one person is constantly saying, "Well, it's not my fault," trust just disintegrates. You never solve problems because you're too busy figuring out who to blame instead of how to fix it. It creates this toxic cycle where nobody wants to take a risk because they're afraid they'll be the next one in the hot seat. So from blame, we move on to our 4th habit. And that is having emotional outbursts. Now, this isn't just about yelling. Nope. It's any display of emotion that is totally out of proportion to what's happening. We're talking passive aggression, completely shutting down, or even those really dramatic sighs that are designed to get attention. The result of all this? It's that awful feeling of walking on eggshells when you have no idea what's going to set someone off. You start to get really cautious and withdrawn. It makes open, honest communication pretty much impossible, and it puts an incredible strain on any relationship, personal or professional. And finally, let's talk about our 5th habit, making everything about themselves. This is that conversational habit where they always manage to steer the topic back to me, me, me. Someone shares a story, and instead of actually listening, their first impulse is to relate it back to their own, usually bigger and better experience. This kind of behavior just starves a relationship of oxygen. When people feel like they're just a prompt for your personal monologue, they eventually just stop sharing. It shows a fundamental lack of empathy, that inability to just be present for someone else's moment, and it makes a true connection basically impossible. So after going through all 5 of those habits, things might be feeling a little bleak. But this next part is so important. We're shifting gears now from just identifying the problem to looking at the solution. And here it is. This is the most important message of all. These 5 behaviors are not who you are, they are things that you do. They are ingrained patterns, and just like any other habit, they can be changed with some conscious effort.
The simple act of becoming aware of them, that right there is a game changer.
So here's a simple little framework for that change. Step 1, just recognize the pattern. Notice when you're doing it without judging yourself. Step 2, reflect on what triggered it. Get curious. What just happened that made you defensive? And then step 3, respond with intention. Instead of that automatic habit, just choose a different response. You can pause, take a breath, and then act.
So I'll leave you with this thought. We often look for all these complex strategies to try and build better connections. But what if the master blueprint isn't out there somewhere? What if it's right in here? What if the most powerful tool that we have is simply the willingness to understand our own emotional architecture first?